Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Wynonna Earp. Now, in this episode, some interesting things come up. We have essentially the Revenant are working on a spell to essentially, which they basically need three things. Essentially, there's a word for it. I essentially think of them as oxymorons. Basically, kind of contradictory words, like how they needed the left hand of an innocent murderer, because basically it was a guy who got away with murder. They also needed the words of a mute woman. Basically, there was a mute woman who was a poet, and as well as, what was it, a loveless heart, and it was like a necklace of their mom. One of the Revenant, it was like their mom, she basically cheated on her dad or something like that. We also have one of the particular Revenants in this episode it's one of the seven that dealt with that did something to that helped kill Willa, their sister. One of some of my favorite standout moments of this episode was one when it was during the hostage situation, and the sheriff came, and he was like, "Oh, so you want us just to stand around here with our thumbs on our asses?" And then Dawes turns and is like, "Okay, if that's your typical protocol, you go right ahead." And then there was the another one of my favorite. It blows my mind how dirty this show could be. Like, my favorite particular dirty joke in this episode is when that demon came out of that body because he was trying to transition into a new body. Which, interestingly enough, I like how demons in this show are look like black smoke. I know, just because I like Supernatural, I just find it funny that there's another comparison to it. I shouldn't be comparing the two shows, but they are somewhat similar. And that's another similarity I have, so I can't help but bring it up. But she was like, "This is not the type of penetration I'm used to." I'm like, they just made that type of joke. It's like, and that's what I like about Wynonna. She's kind of like a kick-ass girl that's not afraid to say what's on her mind. Like, and I like that about her. She kind of takes no bullshit from people. She kind of does what she wants to. I also like that, essentially what it was, Dawes was putting that tracker on her, but at the time we didn't know it, and he was touching her face like that. I was like, and she was kind of, had like a, what the fuck look on her face, like, what is that? And, I also love how, like, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's Waverly's boyfriend," and then, that, because apparently, he was one of the hostages, and Officer Hart was like, "Unfortunately," and Dawes kind of looked at her like, it's just like, she doesn't even hide the fact is that she's into Waverly. It's very interesting. I even like, when her boyfriend named Chet, when he was like, "Oh yeah, I was so brave, like your sister and your Shorty were just like, I was trying to be brave for them," and since he's up there kissing up on her face, and she's talking to Officer Hot, and she seems like she's not paying her boyfriend any attention. It's like, wow, Officer Hot's really got Waverly having the hots for her. You see what I did there? I know. I'm sorry. It was lame. Anyway, moving on. Essentially, we ended up finding out that basically the spell they were trying to create was basically a spell to the demons was a spell to move, like, possess a human's body so that they can cross the line. Because we actually got to get more of a somewhat look at the barrier that keeps the Revenant in. Essentially, it's a gigantic triangle. Interesting shape. I don't know what shape I was actually expecting. Truth be told, I was expecting more of a dome. It's what I was thinking of. Like, that's how I imagined it, just being a gigantic dome around Purgatory. But it's like, no, it's like a gigantic triangle. And still not really sure what exactly happens to Revenant that cross that line, cross the boundary line. They say basically they I forgot what the terming, like, what they actually legitimately said. I guess it's like they kind of go through something worse than hell. We also find out about, like, because the particular demon in this episode, the one that kind of moves fast, Dawes says he kind of mimics a hellhound, which is kind of interesting. It does make me wonder, like, what do demons, like, do demons actually have like a physical form? Like, do they like in this particular series, like, do they actually have like obviously we see them as black smoke, but it's like, is that all they are, or do they actually have like a demonic physical form? Like, because we see them in human bodies, but it's like outside of that, like say like they were in hell, did they actually have like a physical monstrous form? I don't know, just something I was thinking about. But what was I getting? Yeah, and basically the one that got them there is someone called the Stone Witch, who is apparently someone that Doc is looking for her too. My money, I mean, I can be completely wrong on this. I think I want to say it's Officer Hot. I want to say she's the Stone Witch. I don't know why. It just seems like I said. I just get the feeling it's got to be her. She because like she's helping the Revenant out necessarily. I don't. Maybe not, because it's like when they were escaping from the bank, they didn't say anything about Officer Hot when they drove by her, so that's why I'm kind of like, well, that's probably not true. But it's like, I'd like to think it was Officer Hot, because like, there's something more to her. More than just her and Waverly, it seems like there's something much more to her character. And we also have, well, first it was Waverly who figured out who Doc was, because she ended up coming across a photo of him and ended up following him to Bobo, which, I'm surprised Bobo didn't kill her directly, which makes me wonder, does Bobo not remember her? Two things. Well, actually, two things. Like, did Bobo not remember her? The reason why he didn't just have her killed, because he told Doc to handle that, because she was overhearing their conversation. Like I said, he was talking about the fact is that because he knows who the Stone Witch is, but he doesn't, like, he knows her real name, and, Doc will get her real name if he helps her, Bobo out, and Bobo wants him to get close to Winona. What particular reason he wants her close to why he wants him close to Winona, I don't know. But what I mean is, in a situation, it seemed like, I don't know, I feel like he would have acted differently. Maybe because they're not trying to go after the heirs, they're trying to just kind of leaving them alone. But it's like, I feel like in a situation like that where someone's overhearing your plan, you'd want them dead. But it's like, no, he just like handled the situation, and Doc's letting her live. So it's like, does he not remember that she doesn't know that she's a heir? Does he not remember that she's the one to plant the talisman in the ground? Or are we going back to point two I made? It's like he wasn't the one, that it was actually Doc back then, and he just used Bobo's name. Like I said, I don't know. I'm starting to think maybe that was mostly unlikely, because Waverly immediately noticed Bobo being like, "Yeah, you're working with that Bobo," essentially knowing he's a revenant. So it's like, well, because she did kind of get, well, because they are trying to narrow it down, find out who is a revenant and who's not. Because she is trying to help out with the group. She is trying to be a part of the team. Though Winona kind of wants to keep her at a safe distance. She kind of wants to be their kind of support. Um, Another thing that happened in this episode was that sadly Winona had to kill that guy Shorty. He was very important to her. He was a friend. I don't think he was family. I think he was more like a family friend. But she had to kill him because he was possessed by that demon, because it went into his body because it was trying to head for hers, because they let Waverly's boyfriend go and run away like the coward he is. Even though he's trying to, I mean, I'll admit he did have moments where he was trying to be brave, but sadly it didn't pan out. But sadly Winona had to kill him because shooting his body wasn't enough, because he was inside of Shorty, so she had to kill Shorty to banish him to hell. Which, interestingly enough, apparently the Revenant that moves really fast has been to hell. He's been sent to hell 3 times prior to this, so that's why he's a little crazy. Apparently, going to hell does kind of tend to mess with your head, which I guess kind of makes sense. It's like, I doubt it's the most savory of places. And we also found out because it did make you wonder why Dawes ended up taking such a long time to get there. So I felt like at any point in time he could have jumped in, and he admits it to Winona that he waited because he wanted to see if they would be able to do it, like to possess a human's body or not. It's like, and then Winona's like, you sacrifice short. He's like, there's sacrifices in this war, like, and there will be more like that to come. And Winona's basically like, I've done a lot of crappy stuff in my life, but working with you, Dawes, is kind of proven to be the like crappiest thing I've ever done. And it's just like, man, that's, I get what you want to do. You want to, it like you said, it's a war, but still to go that far, like he could have prevented that, especially because it was someone that was very close to Winona. Like, I don't know if she'll be able to forgive him because they've kind of had that relationship where they kind of joke. It's particularly her, she kind of jokes. It's kind of like a comedy duo. She's kind of like he's kind of the straight man in the group, and it's just like, I don't know, that relationship, was kind of getting to a good place. They kind of have their thing, but it's like, I don't know if she's going to want to work with him after this, though. I mean, really, she might not have a choice in a matter, so. And interestingly enough, something I've kind of never brought up before, because I never really thought about it until this episode. Apparently, obviously the gun doesn't work in anyone else's hands, but, the moment it's in Winona's hands, it can be fired because Dawes tried to shoot it. The gun runs on supernatural ammo. I never brought it up before because I didn't really think about it until this episode. I was like, oh yeah, I've never actually seen her load it, have I? And that situation proved it to me. It's like, that gun runs on supernatural bullets. It charges up and fires a bullet, just because. Just something just something that's, like I said, I was thinking about it that just kind of stood out to me. And we also had Doc finally revealing revealing himself to Winona. So maybe next episode we'll get to hear a little bit more about his situation, like why he's doing what he's doing. Maybe even like how he's around now. So, but that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.